Greetings and welcome to Smartwatch Ticks. It's an exciting day in an interesting kind of way. What we have today is, yes, a brand new watch to show you. However, this particular watch is not working. Everbuying, a wonderful outlet that has supplied us with the ZEBLAZE Blitz Smartwatch. Unfortunately, the one that came in, it's not operating right. We've been troubleshooting it, and it looks like it's pretty much DOA, so guess what? They're going to send out another brand new one to review. Now that's quality service. Everbuying. We're going to have a link to the purchase page here in the show notes below the video if you're interested in this ZEBLAZE Blitz. There's a link for you that'll help them out and help us out here at Smartwatch Ticks. In the meantime, this watch is waterproof. I mean, it's the IP67 waterproof, which means the first digit being about dust and everything. 6 is dust tight, and 7 means immersion, up to 1 meter. You can dip this puppy in water, and it's supposed to survive. Well, if that's true, and I have a watch that's kind of already broken, so I'm not going to ruin it if I got it wet, what do you say we take a dip with the guppies? Yeah, the ZEBLAZE Blitz waterproof watch dipped in about 10 inches of water, I guess, along with my friends the guppies. Let's put it in with the camera facing up, and there's a microphone port there. You see a little blip of a bubble, maybe, could be. Most likely, there is a little place in there where water could get in because sound has to go in, of course, right? And on the other side is our speaker. You all okay? Yeah, good. Speaker's looking good. No bubbles are coming out of that. The back side, totally immersed. If this is a waterproof watch, then we should shower, wash our hands, even submerge it underwater. Now, I'm not taking it down to the bottom of a swimming pool and letting it sit there for 35 minutes and then pulling it up and getting all upset because there's water in it. I just figure, yeah, if it's going to survive this test with the guppies in the guppy pond, then it should be okay for swimming. Stuff like that. Now, we know this doesn't work. I can't turn it on and prove to you that it's still running. However, what I can do, and what I will do, is take the back off of it, open it up, and strip this puppy down. We're going to look for water in places water never dreamed of being in this watch. Oh, and the guppies? Well, of course. They have a friend. Whee! There you go. You guys have fun. And we'll see you in just a minute on the table with Everbuying's ZEBLAZE Blitz. All right, so let's dry off this watch, and we will take it apart. See if it truly is waterproof. Got some water in the crevices up here by the bands. But all in all, there we go. Looking like we're getting it dry. The speaker port. Make sure we get any water that might be in the speaker or in a microphone hole. Now, of course, water is going to go into those, but it's not hopefully going to go all the way into the watch. Even around the button's a little wet. Look good? Okay. Here we go then. This is the ZEBLAZE Blitz smartwatch, and we are going to go to the first level of taking it apart, which is how you would put in a SIM card. So we start with a little supplied screwdriver, and we take out the 4 screws. Again, this was immersed in water because it's supposed to be an IP67 waterproof watch, which means it's good for immersion down to 1 meter. That's 3 feet. I had it in water, about 10 inches for maybe about 5 minutes. enough to be able to tell whether or not, it's going to really leak. Okay, look, I got my fingernails nice and long for this project. That way I can pry it up if I need to. There we go. How about these two? One more screw is in there a little bit. All right. Let's look inside first. Nice and dry, no water in there. That's a good sign. And here's the watch itself. It looks perfectly dry. I mean, there's some on the band here still, but nothing inside the watch. Great. All right, in terms of the SIM card, it's a real easy process, folks. You look for a funny looking thing like this in all of these watches, nano or micro. This one's nano, it's smaller. You simply find the little corner up here, a little triangle thing, and you'll slide away from that like this, and you'll hear a click. Then you just lift it up, and there you go. You've got your connectors. Now, you want to put the SIM card in so that the little cutout of the SIM card is right next to that triangle there. See that little triangle right in there? It'll just float. It's not going to like snap in. It's just going to float in there. And then once you have it laying in there with the metal side down, you just flip that closed, press down, and press forward to lock it. And it'll be locked in place, okay? That's how you insert the SIM card in the ZEBLAZE Blitz Smartwatch. Now we're going to go to the next level with the ZEBLAZE Blitz Smartwatch by taking off the cover so that we can get to the battery. The battery disconnection is kind of the second level you need to go to. Sometimes the battery, I don't know, the watch may not be working right. It might be like constantly rebooting itself, or it's not turning on, or just something's not working well. And one of the solutions often that fixes it is to just disconnect the battery. Okay, another water check. We immerse this watch, and it's nice and clean. No water intrusion there. And here we go. Here's the inside of the watch. We have a lot of different connectors. We'll be taking them off later. But right now we're after one connector specifically. You see where all of these charging panels are? That's where these ports on the back of the cover connect and provide you the connection to charge and transfer data from your watch. Right next to all those metal connectors is this rectangular little silver thing with a ribbon cable coming out of it. That's the battery connection. So to disconnect the battery, not remove the battery, but just to disconnect it, take your long fingernail or a little screwdriver, maybe even a Q-tip, and just lift it up. Once you lift it up, you can see that the connector's just floating in there. It has a little socket that it goes into. And what you'll do is leave it up like that for, I don't know, half a minute or so, just to make sure it gets all the electricity out of the watch before you reconnect it again. But when you do, it's simple. You just simply line it up, press it down till it snaps, and it's back in place. And then you could go about trying to turn it on. And once again, this particular watch is non-operational. It was DOA from Everbuying. Really appreciate these guys because they helped me troubleshoot with this thing and determine that it really wasn't working. And they're sending out another brand new one that we can do a full review on. That's top-notch service. I'm going to have a link to where you could buy this watch, the ZEBLAZE Blitz from Everbuying, if you're inclined, because that'll help them out and help us out here too. Okay, with the ZEBLAZE Blitz smartwatch, we are now going to go to the next level of accessing the battery itself, not just disconnecting it, as we've done before, but actually removing it. That's a big effort because it's behind everything, and that means we got to pull this motherboard out. So let's get going. First thing, we have the diode for your heart rate monitor. It plugs in with this little connector right there. You just lift it up and take it off. Set it aside. Then we have a whole bunch of different connectors. I can try fingernails. I've got one right there. I've got one right there. All right, that one's a little too hard, so I'm going to use a screwdriver to pull up on that one. These are antenna connectors. They go into the bands, and then they connect back into the watch here. So we got two antenna connectors on this side. You seeing that? And then we've got a rectangular connector there to a circuit board that disappears underneath. Okay. Now, on the other side, something similar. We've got what looks like a connector down there. We've got this tape. What does that tape do? It must be a tape for a RF signal of some sort. That's what it looks like. And it seems to be taping over a connector here. So let's lift that connector. Yeah, some of the stuff just isn't right for fingernails. You got to get in there a little bit more. There we go. And that lifted that connector. See? They're not super delicate. You just got to be a little careful with them. And now we can get to this antenna connector and lift that one up too. They all just pop up. This is modular nicely the way it's put together. We got a couple of more things over here. It looks like here's the camera connector and the button connector. So we pop those out. 1 and 2. Okay, camera and button disconnected. And it's about everything, but we still don't have access to the battery yet, right? So we're gonna have to disconnect the motherboard. So then we start looking for screws. And I see one here, and I see one over there. So let's take those screws out. And there's the first one. Try not to get the screws too mixed up. And the other one was right here. Sorry if my hand is in the way, but we're basically just taking screws out. Boy, that puppy's in there tight. Wow, okay. And there it is. All right, we have all of our screws out. Now, the only thing that worries me is here we have solder joints. Solder joints are indicative of, oh boy, that could be a problem because it's actually soldered. Something is soldered. This looks like the speaker port here and the microphone port here are actually soldered. But we might be able to get in without needing to take those out. Let's see if it's open from this end. Ah, yeah, okay. We can lift up. Nothing else is in the way. It doesn't look like. See what we're doing here? We're opening and lifting the circuit board. Being careful not to hurt those solder joints. That's really short wires. I can't go much further on either of them. But can you see down in there? There's the battery. Kind of in the shadow, but nonetheless, there it is. So I'm going to reach in and try and bring that battery up. Aha, yeah. There's the cable connector. And now we're just going to lift the battery out. There we go. And that is how you would replace your battery. What kind of battery is it? Let's find out. Let's peel it back and see if it's got anything on it. Ah, it does have writing on it. Is it washed out in the brightness of the flashlight? Let's see. It's a upside down, yeah. 480 milliamp hour battery. That sound about right to you? Okay, that's pretty decent. Wow, okay. Dimensions. Let me go get a ruler. Never a shortage of fun things here. Here's my little ruler. You want it in centimeters? Sure. Oh, sorry, watch. So, the width of the watch, including the little band here, would be in the neighborhood of measuring, oh wow, 25, 6, 7, 28 to play safe. I'd say 28 at the wide part down here. Yeah, it's 28 scrunchy kind. Lengthwise, tape it back up again. Now that's from the very edge of that connector, right? So 28 centimeters by, which one did we do? Do them both. 0 to 28 that way. About 28 centimeters that way, about 28 square, 29. You won't, it's a tight fit. So if you can get under 28 by 28, that would be great. And thickness-wise, you don't want to go more than 5 centimeters. You might be able to squeeze 6 in there. Maybe even 7, I don't know. That had a little bit of play in there, but 5 would be safe. So 5 by 28 centimeters. And that, folks, is how you replace the battery. How do you put it back in? Simple. You would simply not do what I did and take all the tape and everything off, but you got the connector right here. And so you just have to pull it back and wiggle it in there, right? Wiggle it back down in there. Then get these things out of the way. Everything else out of the way. And you just pop that circuit board back in place. You see, it looks like it's got a little bit of extra play that could go higher. So if you find one 28 by 28 by 7, you might be able to get it in. All right? So that is what you need to do to replace the battery on the ZEBLAZE Blitz smartwatch. That's the level of detail that we can go to kind of for the consumer, which I am, you are, where we get in here and actually disconnect the battery. We take out and replace the battery, and we obviously know how to put in and take out a SIM card. What you're about to see is going beyond that and most likely would void the waterproof integrity of this watch. So I do not recommend this. This is just to show you because we have this broken ZEBLAZE Blitz watch that we're able to tear apart and not worry about doing any damage to it. More of an educational opportunity. So what we're going to do next is try to take out the guts. We are going to grab this whole motherboard along with the shell, the plastic shell that's around it. Now, inside here is the speaker sitting here in the speaker side, the microphone over here, the camera, and the button. Those are all external connections to the outside world, if you will. Let's get that battery out again before we begin, because that's kind of something we want to do. We're going to lift the board up a bit and then lift it again from the top. Could use a Q-tip if you don't have these kind of screwdrivers, I guess. There we go. Enough that we can see inside, and we can grab a hole and gently bring the battery out. You see, getting comfortable with this is pretty easy, right? Okay, so now we've got that circuit board sitting there, and we're going to try to use this time, I guess you may need a screwdriver or something. That we got to get down here in between this plastic and start to pry this little plastic connector up. It's just a round insert that snaps in here. And I'm sure there's technical expert ways of doing this, but I'm just going to fuss my way through it. Oop. See, now I'm almost busting my speaker by sticking it through that hole. That's not wise. Wouldn't recommend that, but I have got it up enough that I can kind of get a hold of it, and now I'm going to lift on it to bring it up some more on this side, okay, and over on the other side, I need to get it to release as well so that the whole thing can slide out. There, you hear that snap? One of two things. I broke it or I got it loose. Let's hope I got it loose. Ooh, what do we got? There we go. Look at that. It's all loose now. Okay. So we have over here, this thing fell out. That is the camera. That's your little camera module that was sitting right in here and poking through the hole right there, which is covered, waterproof. This is the button connector for when you turn the watch on, press the button. And then this is the little microphone port sensor that was floating inside of here. And there's some form of waterproof integrity there. You notice that the hole doesn't go all the way through. It's got a covering. Are you seeing that? It's got kind of a mesh covering, which I presume is keeping the water from coming in. If you were to think that's a reset button and stick something in there, a toothpick or something to try to reset the watch because you think that's a reset button and you broke that and you broke the microphone and water would come in, you'd be in a mess. So this is not a reset button, it's a microphone. It's hard. It's amazing, you know, all these things happen. Okay, over here you can see I've already kind of got the speaker started coming out of its little protective case. Wow, it's magnetic. See, that's the magnetic part of the speaker. It's a good sized speaker as far as watches go, and it sits right inside that case, which is now completely loose because I just brought the button part out. All right, so that's the case that sits inside of here. This is the entire watch, basically. That little thing right there, I think is the vibration motor. And yeah, see, it looks like that's where it'll do brrr, and it's the little motor that's off center that makes that feeling on your arm. The rest of it, the SIM card, the connector for the battery that would go right there. You getting familiar with this? Yeah, there's the charging port connectors, and that's it. All of the circuits and everything are sealed and hidden inside of there. And when you really boil it down, that is your high-end Android 5.1 ZEBLAZE Blitz Smartwatch. All the rest of this is eye candy to make it work, including the screen, which is right here. And it's really in here tight. I'm not going to take us down any further. You can see that the circuit boards on this end and on the other end go down below that metal plate, which is covering the display. These are the antenna leads that go into the bands. And you want to know about taking the bands off? Let me tell you, it's not easy. I already pre-tried. I figured if I can figure it out, I can show you guys, and I won't have to waste my time. Well, I've tried using a screwdriver and going in here and pulling back on the metal rod in case it was one of those compression kind of things like you see on most watches, a spring-loaded thing, and it would just snap out. Didn't work. Kind of messed up both sides on the van trying to do that. It looks like what you need is a tool to really hammer down and push this whole rod all the way out just to get access. And then you got to pull, if you're lucky enough to do that, you've got to pull these wires with the heads through those tiny holes down there to get this whole thing off. Then you got antennas inside of here, and no easy cutout on this particular model to just like pry up the cutout to remove the antenna. It's like been molded into the band. So the best you could do is try to get a replacement identical band and put the whole thing back together again, and you're still with a rubber band. You're not going to have a pretty metal one or a different color or anything. So I'm gonna say not only no, but shucks no. You're not ever going to be able to really replace these bands, okay? The other stuff, here it is. It's easy to replace the battery. That's not hard at all. You bust the integrity of the watch when you start messing around with taking this casing out. It's feasible. I can get it back in here. There's a little rubber support thing that helps put pressure on the camera so that it will fit snugly in the hole. And the microphone, same thing. The speaker, the button, all that stuff You probably can put it back. I wouldn't trust it to be really waterproof. Maybe, I don't know. Might give that a try. Again, the speaker slides into that little slot right there. Any questions? Did we cover everything? The glass, the Gorilla Glass. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, here's the glass. It's claiming to be Gorilla. I don't know. How do you guys test Gorilla Glass? I've got to watch one of those videos, I guess. I'm going to take my screwdriver, try not to cut myself, and oh, I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. Can you feel my pain? It's a broken watch. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, stop. Stop right now. Don't go any further. This is too graphic for YouTube. Well, all right, maybe not too graphic, but too stupid. I actually, what you're about to see, I posted on YouTube, and then I discovered something, and I had to pull the whole thing down. Some of you got a notice and are wondering why it wasn't there. It's because of what you're about to see. This, I'm telling you, is one of the best illusions I've ever seen. And they got me. They got me good because of this. All right. Please watch it to the end. I think you'll see why. Oh, I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. Can you feel my pain? It's a broken watch. It's okay. It's okay. Ugh. Oh, my God. Ow. Oh, no. That's Gorilla Glass. Wow, that's just a flimsy little screwdriver that came with it. And that's a serious gouge. Did this one say Gorilla Glass? I got to check the specs. If it did, I don't think so. I would be careful with the glass. Is there a protective plastic thing on here that I haven't taken off yet? There was one, you know, that it came with. Nah, folks, that's sad. All right. I just can't leave the video this way. No. Actually, I fully uploaded it, had about almost 200 views, and I've pulled it so that I can re-upload it after I add this piece. Because you guys have got to know, I can scratch this thing all I want to, and I'm not scratching the screen. I found... yes, there is a little plastic screen protector on here. And if I lift it up, I can remove it. And I do not want to leave you with the impression that this fully Gorilla Glass watch is anything less than perfect. Okay? You can scratch it all you want to, and it's not going to affect it. Got a little bit of smudges on it, but I don't have any scratches whatsoever. The ZEBLAZE Blitz Android 5.1 round watch is awesome. It's waterproof, it has a camera, and it has Gorilla Glass. And my apologies. Wow, I just didn't feel right. It did not feel right. And now I'm glad to know that it indeed does support and is fully what it says it is. A shout out to Everbuying, which is the company that has been gracious enough to supply this ZEBLAZE Blitz for review, and also sending another backup working ZEBLAZE Blitz, which you can bet I'm not going to be tearing into, and I'm going to be protecting that screen when we do the full review of it. I will have links to Everbuying's purchase link for the ZEBLAZE Blitz in our show notes, and I really appreciate if you like this watch to support us here and them there, because they've gone out on a limb to provide this for us, and purchase your ZEBLAZE Blitz from Everbuying. Thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, it's easy. Just go to youtube.com/smartwatchtics and hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified of all the fun videos we have coming up, and we have a lot, including breakdown, not to this level, but at least to a decent level, of all of these Android 5.1 round smartwatches, that you can see the insides and the build quality and learn how at least to change the SIM and disconnect the battery. Okay? We'll see you again soon. All right. Once again, links at the bottom if you want to buy this baby. I think it's a good deal. Catch you later. Now we're complete.